Let's talk about some of the concepts that came up with this next saxophonist. This is Emma Rawicz, who's from the UK. Awesome tenor saxophonist. Let's check her out.
Jazz education that I was, involved in was very kind of transcription based, like huge amount of listening, huge amount of like taking stuff down, and like, I think like I started off doing a few Sonny Rollins solos, a few Dexter solos, some Coltrane, that kind of thing, and it was kind of like all still quite new to me, so I was kind of like trying to process all this information. And that was all great, to be honest, because I was super new to it. And it was like, it happened quite organically, I think, because I was checking it out right where it was coming from rather than being like more mathematical about it.
So as you can see, Emma started with transcription very early on, and she felt that it was a really important part of her development. She started by reading the transcriptions, but quickly felt like she wanted to internalize the transcriptions more deeply and understood that it's more about just what's on the page. So she developed a process from there that I highly recommend you strive for. It's what I do as well these days. But if you're starting out, I highly recommend reading the transcription and memorizing it from there. The faster you memorize it, the better when you're first getting into it, because then it's going to develop your ears more so you can get to the point where you can do it without music. That's also going to give you a visual so you can see the chords and you can see how the notes line up with the chords, so it's going to help you internalize it and understand it more. But then as you get more advanced, it's great to go beyond that, and again, I highly recommend going through the process that Emma does now with her transcribing.
From that point, started developing the transcription process I use now, which is like singing it, like not playing it until I can sing it the whole way through, and then just doing it totally by ear and not slowing it down, which is sometimes a bit of a roast.
Yeah.
But it's a good one, and I think one that's definitely equipped me to deal with like live gig situations in a better way than if I was writing it all down and relying on that and relying on like, technology that slows it down for you and stuff. So I'd rather, I guess what I'm saying is I'd rather put in the hours to do it the hard way than kind of get it done quicker and then probably not remember it in a few months' time,
Right. So Emma makes sure that she sings each transcription first before she learns it on the horn. And that is such a great way to do it. That really makes it so you internalize the solo more and pick up on the nuances of the phrasing. Emma is also really serious about her warm-up routine. So she mentioned a book that she's used to develop her sound.
My absolute kind of technique Bible. Do you know the Sigurd Rascher Top Tones book?
Yeah.
I practice that every day, and it like makes me feel super kind of in tune with the horn and in control of what I'm playing and stuff.
This is a widely known book that was originally published in 1941 by the classical saxophonist Sigurd Rascher. Much of this book is about practicing overtones, which is such a great way of developing your sound, and altissimo as well. So the concepts from that book are definitely a big part of how I teach overtones and sound development today with my students. One really great exercise is to play from a low note and then play the second and third partials of the overtones, then go back down to the original note, trying to connect it all together smoothly. From there, I recommend getting into overtone scales, which is definitely something I'm working on with the text lesson students. That is a cool approach where you actually play a full scale up and down using overtone partials. That's really going to develop your sound a lot. So then from there, Emma credits her work with functional harmony, modes, general theory, application, and patterns, which was all things that she worked with her mentor in the UK. And she credits all this to being really pivotal in her development from there.
A big part of it was kind of like getting inside functional harmony in a really, really intense way. When I was about kind of maybe 16, I was like, I'm going to do all this, I'm going to learn all of it. And I had an incredible teacher called Ian Dixon when I was at music school for high school. And he just had this incredible concept where it was just kind of like all these exercises that were kind of tailored to get you really in touch with the harmony while also working on your technique. So stuff like every mode in every key, from every parent scale, symmetric scales, the whole lot in fourths, fifths, thirds, and like all these different patterns, and like kind of working on those so they were kind of intellectually in there, if you see what I mean. Like you can kind of call them up in a kind of logical way, but also physically being in touch with them on the horn.
So just like Aiden talked about the value of understanding functional harmony, Emma also brings this up. This was something that she did and worked on with her mentor. And so again, we're coming back to a main theme here where it can be really beneficial to hook up with a mentor to help guide you through your development.